For over 20 years, I built systems that had to run 24/7 without failure. Data centers, networks, cloud infrastructure. If a single component failed, the whole system collapsed. When I took early retirement and looked at personal finance, I saw the same flawed architecture everywhere. People save a large corpus, say 4.2 crore rupees to generate 1 lakh rupees per month, but they leave it as one giant pile of money. In engineering, we call that a single point of failure. Today, I want to show you a better way. A way to structure your retirement so that even if one part breaks, your life never stops. Let's break this 4.2 crore rupees into 3 buckets, each with a specific job and timeline. Bucket 1 is your now money. It holds cash and very safe debt instruments, think fixed deposits, liquid funds, or savings accounts. This bucket is designed to fund your life for the next 4 to 5 years. With annual expenses of 12 lakh rupees, we allocate about 48 rupees to 60 lakh rupees here. Bucket 2 is your later money. It holds hybrid funds, a mix of debt for safety and equity for modest growth. This bucket will fund the next 4 to 5 years after bucket 1 is exhausted. Another 48 rupees to 60 lakh rupees goes here. Bucket 3 is your future money. This is pure equity, stocks of high-quality companies. It holds the remainder, roughly 3 crore rupees. This bucket grows in the background while you live your life. Now let's trace the cash flow, how money actually moves from these buckets to your bank account every month. Imagine a simple pipeline. Every single month, 1 lakh rupees flows out of bucket 1 directly into your checking account. You pay your rent, your groceries, your travel, all from bucket 1. Here's the critical rule, you never touch bucket 2 or bucket 3 for monthly expenses. Why? Because if the stock market crashes tomorrow, bucket 3 might be down 20% or 30%. Selling at that moment locks in losses forever. By keeping your daily expenses isolated in bucket 1, you give your growth engine the space to recover without being disturbed. Every well-architected system needs regular maintenance. Once a year, you perform what we call rebalancing. After 12 months, bucket 1 has been partially depleted. Your job is to refill it for the coming year. Where do you draw water from? You draw from bucket 2, the hybrid bucket. But here's where the logic gets elegant. You first check bucket 3, the equity bucket. If equity has had a great year and grown significantly, you sell a portion of those gains and top up bucket 2. If equity has had a terrible year and fallen, you do nothing. You simply use bucket 2 to refill bucket 1. This way, you are always selling what has gone up, never selling what has gone down. Let's stress test this system with a worst-case scenario. Imagine the stock market enters a long downturn, 5, 6, or even 7 years of falling or flat returns. This is where bucket 2, the hybrid bucket, becomes your hero. Hybrid funds typically hold 30% to 40% in equity and the rest in debt. When markets crash, they don't fall as much as pure equity. And they generate regular dividends and interest. In a prolonged downturn, you use bucket 1 for the first 4 to 5 years. Then you use bucket 2 for the next 4 to 5 years. By the time both are exhausted, 8 to 10 years have passed. History shows that over any 10-year period, the stock market has always recovered. Your equity bucket gets a full decade to heal without you being forced to touch it. Let's talk about why this architecture works so well. First, psychological peace. When markets crash, you don't panic. Your daily money is sitting in cash, untouched. You sleep through the storm. Second, tax efficiency. In India, long-term capital gains on equity are taxed at 12.5% only on profits above 1.25 lakh rupees in a financial year. During rebalancing, you control exactly how much profit you realize. You can sell just enough to stay below that threshold, paying zero tax in many years. Third, protection from sequence risk. The biggest danger in early retirement is being forced to sell stocks in the first few years after retirement when markets are down. With 4 to 5 years of cash and another 4 to 5 years of hybrid, you completely eliminate that risk. Now, no system is perfect. I have to be honest about the downsides. First, lower absolute returns. Because you keep a significant portion in cash and hybrid, your overall portfolio return will likely be lower than someone who invests 100% in equity. But remember, retirement is not a competition to die with the most money. It's about ensuring you never run out. Second, discipline required. You must rebalance every year, like clockwork. If you skip it, the system drifts and can fail when you need it most. Third, inflation creep. Cash in bucket 1 loses purchasing power over time. However, bucket 3, the equity bucket, is designed to grow faster than inflation and compensate for that loss over the long run. Let me give you a concrete example of how the tax piece works, because this is where the bucket strategy shines. Suppose during rebalancing, you need to refill bucket 2. You decide to sell some equity from bucket 3. You sell units that have a long-term capital gain of 1.5 lakh rupees. Under current Indian tax rules, the first 1.25 lakh rupees of LTCG is exempt. You pay 12.5% only on the remaining 25,000 rupees, that's just 3,125 rupees in tax. Now compare that to someone who sells equity every month to pay expenses. They might trigger gains every year far above the exemption limit. By consolidating your sales into one annual rebalancing event, you control the tax outcome. You become the master of your tax destiny. When I architected networks, the systems I was most proud of weren't the fastest. They were the ones that never went down. They had redundancy, failover, and layers of protection. Retirement is no different. With 4.2 crore rupees and 1 lakh rupees monthly expenses, the bucket strategy gives you redundancy. Bucket 1 is your cache, fast, liquid, ready. Bucket 2 is your buffer, stable, resilient. Bucket 3 is your growth engine, powerful, long-term. Together, they form a system that can withstand market crashes, inflation spikes, and life's uncertainties. You are not gambling on market timing. You are engineering a lifetime of financial independence. If you're planning early retirement, I invite you to think like an engineer. Map out your buckets. Calculate your numbers. Run stress tests. Ask yourself, what happens if the market falls 30% in my first year? What happens if inflation stays high for 5 years? If your system can survive those stresses, you're ready. If not, go back to the drawing board. The goal isn't to predict the future, it's to build a system that can handle any future. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, consider sharing it with someone who's planning their own retirement. Let's build resilient retirements together.